wonderful session. Thank you so much. My name is Madhavan. I've been a Tata man myself for about 16 years. I've worked with you at the CII for a session, for a season. My question is, you spoke about scale, understood well. You spoke about employee engagement. One thing that is, those days used to be an external assessor, TBEM. Yes, it is possible with a smaller company or a company that is not big in the size that TCS was. How would you manage to score in every chapter? It's not, the blue book is not about one, right? Every chapter, which means that process orientation across 450,000 people, how does one manage that? I mean, I'm struggling with a small team of about 400 people. How does one manage working through the 8 chapters or 7? Thank you.
So TBEM is a startup business excellence model. You know, TBEM is essentially Malcolm Baldrige Award that was taken. See, this was, just to give you a big background about that, this was the way to build cohesiveness amongst the Tata Group organizations, and therefore this came into this thing. So we had the TBM, but TBM forced us completely to rethink the whole thing, because it was one of those connected organizations that was creating, from a strategy perspective down to various other areas and so on. It was completely, and you had to create that complete process in terms of leadership and many other things and so on. I think I would not say that, what I would say is that I think TBM introduction into the Tata Group, initially the real leader was Tata Steel. Tata Steel would get that, and we would be far behind Tata Steel. And we went, I think today we are, TCS is probably a little ahead of Tata Steel from that perspective. So there is, I think, I would not credit it to anything. It's a very difficult journey, but the only thing I would say is that that was a challenge that we had to overcome if we have to create an institution. Otherwise, we would have remained as 10,000 people, 15,000 people, 20,000 people organization. We would not have been able to scale up. But the real capability scale up came as a result of many of the practices that we imbibed from the TBEM, and the assessors were all trained initially by the Malcolm Baldrige people, and they were tough assessors. And I think, and also the other one is the CMM model, which came along, and we worked on that as well. So many things combined made it. But this is an important process that was extremely critical for TCS to grow.
One last question from David.
Thank you. You just alluded to the point about technology being enabler as different from sort of a business in itself. In this day and age of accelerated convergence, if you like, of physical and virtual and augmented realities, all of the technologies, Web3, metaverse, blockchain, you name it. What does it behoove technology companies to think of so that 50 years from now, we still don't have just the United States anymore, vis-a-vis both business and social sort of demand management?
You know, the ability to envision a future. I mean, this is where, you know, when metaverse and many others came along, this is something brilliant in terms of being able to articulate something where you're combining many of the realities into one kind of this thing. And you are, you know, blockchain was a revolution that started a few years back, because you are extending the organization into something, and you are creating a unified kind of structure and so on. You know, I would look at it more from a philosophical angle, that to really be able to conceptualize this to that degree requires you to have multiple capabilities within your own organization. I was once in Singapore, and we had one of those, Lee Kuan Yew was alive at that time, and then he came and spoke, and the same question was, I mean, this is years back, similar question was posed to him, similarly saying that, why can't you break United States? And Singapore is phenomenally an interesting place and so on. And he said Singapore cannot ever become, because that melting pot, as he called it, the United States, where many things coexist. You go to Silicon Valley, it's not just computer programmers that you're seeing. You're seeing many other things, envisioning and challenging ideas, many of the other things and so on. I think that kind of an independent open systems, if we can create, we can probably come to that level. But I don't see that happening. I mean, anytime you go to any United States and go to that kind of environment, you come back with awe rather than any other kind of feeling.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give him a big hand.
Thank you so much, Balu, and let's give a big hand to Mr. S. Mahalingam for answering all the questions and a very inspirational talk about Chennai's IT future. Thank you so much. Please accept a small memento from RCME. Now over to the Secretary's announcement.
Vidyaganam is the event where our Rotarians and Anets visit orphanage and old age homes and entertain the inmates with light music. Vidyaganam is, we are having our Vidyaganam on Saturday, 4:30 p.m. at orphanage home in Tiruvamur. Mr. Rotarian N. Ramamurthy is the chairperson for it. Please reach out to him for further details. Much awaited Global Grant Project inauguration is going to happen on 22nd March by 4:30 p.m. at Childress Hospital, where we are going to donate that neonatal care for the Childress Hospital. The venue is going to be the same hospital by 4:30 p.m. Our team, Community Health, is excited to have celebrate in a big way. And on the same evening, we are having the fundraising event. We are going to raise funds for our project Dishti through an art auction. The venue is going to be the Art House at Nungambakam. It's going to be around 6:30 p.m. Chairperson for this fundraising event is Rotarian Sujita Arvind. She will reach out with further details in the WhatsApp group. And our next weekly meeting we are going to have in the same venue. It's going to be a complete entertainment. I will share the details in our WhatsApp group. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Mahesh. We now request Rotarian Ravi Venkatramani to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, President. As you all know, we are in our 75th year of independence, right? So India is celebrating a milestone this year, and we have a lot of people to thank to raise India's prestige to the level that it is today. I think one of those people is the gentleman before us today. I think he's a founding member to bring IT to India, and now raising India to say India is the one that teaches IT to the world. I think that's a fantastic achievement, won't you say? So I have 5 key takeaways for today. And those are, first, how IT, where it started in India, to not even have a computer, and then to bring in a mainframe, and that too getting basically reused parts or parts that nobody else wanted. And that's where India started and to where we've been able to reach. To hear that story was amazing, sir. And second was the evolution of how Madras started from Madras to become Chennai. I think we can thank TCS for starting with those 500 people when they started. And I think they've been responsible for converting Madras to Chennai. And we go globally and tell everybody, hey, we're from Chennai. We're proud about that. I think TCS has had a big part. And also, I think from a third aspect, he's made me realize how important of a role TCS has played to convincing our politicians that this is an industry worth pursuing. This is an industry worth supporting. That there's a lot of potential in our country. And now we talk about an industry that's bringing so much export revenue. I think the leading exporter for our country is the IT industry. And the role they still play today, the passports, your banks, everything run by TCS. I think a great service that TCS has played for our country and continues to do so for us. Number 4, probably the most important takeaway for me, he talked about all of his colleagues. He talked about Mr. Kohli, he talked about Ramadurai, he talked about Chandra, he talked about several other colleagues. Never once did he use the word I. I'm pretty sure this gentleman had a fantastic role to play in everything that TCS has done, but you never heard about him. I think that's the greatness speaking right there. And the last takeaway for me, he continues to have energy and enthusiasm as he looks towards the future of IT and future of India and Chennai. I think at his age to have that, I think he's ready to start another TCS. So thank you, Murari, and thank you, Ballu, for bringing such a great speaker to us. I think we're all honored and we're all privileged to have you, sir, today. I have some thanks to give. We have today, the fellowships are being sponsored by some kind Rotarians. We have Rotarians Puru, P. Ram, Prabhu, Mahesh, and Suresh Krishna. They're sponsoring this evening, so if you see them after today, after this event closes, please do thank them. They made this happen. Thanks to all the members for showing up in such great numbers. Thanks to the press and the hotel for the fantastic arrangements. Really appreciate this amazing evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ravi, for the lovely word of thanks. This meeting of the Rotary Club of Madras is now adjourned.